Right. What's going on, and you know, and all of that was going on while the Maxwell hearing was going on, and you know, no one's paying attention to that. We get all the video, we get everything, we get one sketch of Maxwell.
Yeah.
Right?
And not only that, so do you know the guy Monkey Works?
I know the name.
Okay, so he does monitors where the planes are going. And so it's fascinating because I caught one of his videos where he was talking about, like, he didn't even think that they were holding the proceedings where they said they were holding the proceedings based on the air traffic.
Right. Oh yeah. That's what that guy is. Yeah, I mean, if you ask me, I'm gonna say the entire thing is a friggin' scam. You know, but again, it's not one that I've looked into too deep, but you know, none of the news is real. It's all fake. So.
Right. So yeah, so I think all that good stuff. So I'm gonna, I don't know, I'm not the best at teeing it up, but I'm gonna tee it up a little bit, and then I'm gonna let you run.
Well, we'll go through. You put in your thumbnail, you know, did Buzz go to the moon? So we'll look at a bunch of moon landing stuff, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Okay, awesome. So let me figure out what I need to do over here. Are you ready? Should I go ahead and get the ball rolling here? And I'm sorry that the link, we goofed up. We actually deleted the link. And that was why we had to resend a new link. So I apologize.
Oh, but wait, that was a link you sent this morning or yesterday?
Last night. Yeah, yesterday.
All right. You just wrote awesome, great in the chat, right? I'm in the right chat.
Yes.
All right, because we had a problem yesterday where the guy had two streams going. One of them was dead and the other one was live. All right, we're good.
Okay.
Fire in the hole.
Fire in the hole? What does that mean?
Fire in the hole. I mean, let's go.
All right.
Fire in the hole. Fire in the hole.
Oh no.
What happened?
It's asking me for my username and password. It's never done that before. Okay, well, I'm like, all right, here we go. Oh, fun. Good morning. It doesn't look like we're there yet, though. Yes, we are. We're here. Ready to go. All right. Good morning. So I have David Weiss with me this morning on Messages from the Universe. I'm so excited to chat with him. He's a truther, I would say. Would you call yourself a truther?
I like the truth. Yes. So I'm a truther.
All
truther is
right.
a bad word these days. You know, truthers, they're trying to make it sound like terrorists, but truther, I want the truth. I have no agenda.
Yeah. Awesome. And the reason why I wanted to share him today with you all, and I'm so grateful that you came, thank you for coming, is because with everything going on in the world and all of the, I believe we're evolving, and the veil of the confusion and deception is starting to be lifted, and it's becoming more and more difficult for the truth to be hidden. So I thought with what's happened with lockdowns and CV-19 and the Jabberdew poisonous apple juice and nanotech and the metaverse and all these crazy things that are happening, that who's to say that the earth isn't flat too? So,
all of this ties into flat earth. People, you know, when people first hear about flat earth, or, you know, including myself, they're like, what difference? You know, first they ridicule it. They go like, that's the dumbest thing ever, because we've been programmed into that. Our entire life has been programmed from before we can talk. But then when they finally, see every proof of the ball being just ripped out of their hands, like, oh, I guess seasons don't prove it. I guess sticks and shadows don't prove it. I guess sunsets don't prove it. Then they go, what difference does it make? What difference does it make? And the difference is so big. It's the most important truth in your life, because if you're lost in space spinning out of control, how do you know, how can you possibly make any rational decisions? How can you really take the full power of your life? They don't want us to know we're at the center of creation, and creation is an amazing this place. And I believe your channel gets into that. We're talking about the Schumann resonance and every resonance, and all of it's connected. So they're trying to separate us from the creation. They're trying to separate us from the creator. Okay. And they know we can get into who they is if you want, but
let's talk about the they in a minute, but finish what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So they know that if you wake up to the fact that we don't live on a spinning space ball flying through an impossible space vacuum, that you're going to connect to source. You're going to connect to who you truly are. It's going to bring you back to the center, and you're going to start receiving information, and you're going to start seeing through the veil. The apocalypse is here. It's the lifting of the veil, and the people that are waking up to this reality are seeing right through it. I mean, I just went to a conference. There was like 450 flat earthers. Every single one of them sees through the nonsense with the jabba jabba do, and all of them. It's like every single one of them is your best friend immediately, because we're all on the same wavelength. We all understand our importance and our potential.
This is kind of a sidebar, but I don't. It's so difficult for me to understand why people don't see it, like how they're still asleep or how they're still brainwashed at this point.
Right? Absolutely. In what. And I was mentioning it to you when we were talking before the show. In my when you're booking me for a show, one of the questions I ask is, do you think the Earth is a ball, flat? Don't know. And you put not sure. Yeah. Okay. But I'm finding out that every single person that puts not sure knows it's flat, knows it's not a ball. Okay. I mean, forget that. Take away the knows it's flat. Knows it's not a ball. Right. Essentially, that's kind of knowing it's flat. And so it's getting very difficult to find people that really think we live on a ball. I mean, anybody that puts 2 minutes, 2 ounces of brain power into actually getting through your ego, because you've been lied to your whole life, can see it. And so you're wondering how people can't see it. It's all ego.
So I'm kind of curious about when the lie started, because I was actually looking up a little bit of the history of it, because I remember being taught in school, like, oh, those people, those archaic, stupid people used to think that the earth was flat. And of course, we're so intelligent now and we believe that it's round, we know it's round. And so I think that was the beginning of the deception, right? In grade school. And it looks like you wanted to speak on that, but I was also curious about the history of, like, in the 1700s, when they believed it was flat, but the Pythagoreans said, no, it's round. And I'm not really sure, like, why that even happened. Do you know some of that history?
Yeah, it's all nonsense. All of it. All of our history is a lie. They tell us, the Wild West was a lie. Everything about our history is a lie. In the 1800s, there was an advanced civilization here. Into the early 1900s, advanced civilization. There was some sort of cataclysm that happened. If you look into mud floods and Tartaria, you could see that something happened. Was it man-made? Was it God-made? Was it a cycle? I'm not here to say that, but there was a clear reset of society about 100 years ago. We came out of it just 100 years ago. In the 1920s, they were teaching flat earth in all public schools across America and across the realm, right? They were teaching flat earth in the 1920s. That doesn't fit our narrative. And I also recently found out in the 1950s and even into the 60s, they were teaching in science class in schools here in America, both flat earth and globe earth. They were teaching both as possibilities. And then all of a sudden, flat Earth was removed like it never existed. It literally got Mandela'd right out of existence.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they introduced stories like Eratosthenes with his sticks and shadows from 2,000 years ago. Well, there's no mention of Eratosthenes until the mid 1900s. Okay, how come the guy that discovered the shape, the size, the radiation, the circumference of the Earth is never mentioned in any old books by any other mathematicians? He should have been the most famous guy on Earth, but it's all nonsense again. So the Eratosthenes story, right?
Oh, sure.
Eratosthenes is he said he figured out when the sun is directly above him and there's no shadow. So here he is, no shadow. You got parallel sun rays coming in, and his buddy 500 miles away. Somehow they were able to talk to each other. Maybe they had a long string and a couple of cans. And he said, okay, he's got a shadow here. And then Carl Sagan in Cosmos showed us how this can only work on a flat Earth because you're assuming a distant sun. Okay, you're assuming a distant sun with parallel rays, and nobody ever sees parallel rays actually. So when you look up, you never see parallel rays. Why did Eratosthenes assume the rays were parallel? Right?
Yeah.
So his sticks and shadows, he did he did a calculation and figured out the sphericity of this ball. But on the flat Earth model with a small local sun, no shadow, same angle, same shadow length, do the same math, and you can figure out the sphericity of this flat plane. Okay.
Yeah.
So doing math with bad data doesn't get you anything. Like if I said, all right, you have $1 million in the bank and I'm going to multiply it by 10 every day for the next 3 days. Well, tomorrow you have 10 million, then you have 100 million, and then you have a billion. Am I doing math right? Whatever. That's bad math because you don't have $1 million in the bank, right? I mean, maybe you do, but I'm saying if you start off with an assumption,
Yeah.
the rest of the equation's nonsense.
So, so this is great. Can you go back and explain that one more time? That I want to look at that ball where the rays should be parallel, but on a flat model, they should be at an angle. And you can see in the photo there that it looks like the rays are coming in at an angle.
Right. Well, this is what we see. We never see, and then the Globers will argue, well, that's just refraction. I don't care if it's refraction or a local sun putting out beams, that literally point to right where that light source is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because they're not parallel. So here's Eratosthenes on a flat Earth. He's got no shadow because the sun's right over him. And you could do this, in your house. Just get two, upright things, the bottles, 2 lighters, whatever, and hold the light over one of them. One of them will have a shadow, and the other one will not. So, here it is. You got a light over this guy, no shadow. There's a shadow over here. I could do some math and tell you the sphericity of this floor. All right. Again, the experiment is so flawed, it's unbelievable. And then when we mention this stuff on shows, the scientism, Neil deGrasse Tyson goes on a show and he backpedals. He literally moves the globe post, we call it. And he says, well, it does work on a flat Earth, but if you add a third well, okay, that he's using wells instead of sticks, it doesn't work. But it does. He just says it doesn't. In his diagram, if you could find that video, in his diagram of showing a third well on a flat Earth, it worked in his diagram. I mean, he had it, the shadow, everything worked, and he just goes, it doesn't work, and then he just moves on. And the weak-minded, I call them, the lazy-minded people just go like, oh yeah, he said it doesn't work, and that's how lazy people are.
Well, or they're just so brainwashed that it's too difficult to allow that to pass through. Their subconscious programming is so rigid, I guess.
We've been programmed from before we could talk, right? Do you have can I ask, do you have any kids or?
I have 3 puppy dogs.
You have 3 puppy dogs. All right. Well, most people that have kids, they get them NASA sheets, NASA pajamas. They put mobiles over their cribs of planets. Okay, this is before a kid even can say mommy and daddy. Okay,
Yeah.
then you put them in front of the TV. Sesame Street is all globe
Oh,
programming. They
well,
got astronauts on there.
well, yeah. Who owns Sesame Street? Do you know?
Um, I'm sure it's something evil.
Yes, it's evil. It is. It's it's yeah. Anyway,
And
I think that that they're connected with CNN, and what's his name was on there, the Gupta that got
oh
called.
yeah. Oh, Sanjay Gupta with Big Bird pushing the Jabba Jabba Do. I mean, that's unbelievable. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
I mean, it's sickening, but anyway, that's a different conversation. So continue with what you were saying.
So I was saying that then you go to school, when you're a nursery school, a kindergartner, your teacher's a god. You're really excited. And what do they have in the front of every class? They have they have a what was I going to say? They have a globe. They have a globe in the front of the class, right? And then one of the first worksheets kids bring home is a worksheet about the orbits of the sun, moon, and the Earth, and and how they all orbit, right? This is indoctrination. And then all of our movies, all of the kid shows, all of the adult shows, all of the news shows, everything is globe this, globe that, globe, globe, globe. They're making it so it's a foundation of your core belief, right? So people believe and defend the globe, and they have no idea why. It's the programming is so intense that when you tell somebody, hey, the Earth isn't a globe, they immediately try telling an 11-year-old the Earth is flat, and he will bite your head off, he or she, because they are so freshly programmed. But then that just becomes a core belief in adults, and they don't know why. And when people are asked, people that are, if anyone's listening that says, oh my God, this crazy guy thinks the Earth is flat, ask yourself, what do you know about the Earth? Do you know the circumference? Do you know the radius? Do you know the speed it's going? Do you know the orb? How fast it's orbiting the sun? How fast? Do you know that it's chasing the sun? Okay. I mean, all of this is complete and total insanity, right? If
So I want to share a quick little
Go ahead.
story because I think you can address this. So I went on this dating app, which bad move. But anyway, and this guy says he's an astronaut, and he's got pictures of I think it was one of the guys that got caught like being in a green screen. Like there were some anyway. So I'm like, okay, this can't be that guy, right? And so I responded to him and I said, well, so is the Earth flat or round? And his response was, well, of course it's round. I have pictures.
Did he send you any?
No, but I was gonna say, I mean, I question even the picture. So what, you have a picture? Like,
does he send you? Look, here's some pictures. These are NASA pictures. Which one do you like? I like this one. This is my favorite. This is the blue marble. It was put on everyone's iPhone when they first got it, and that's my favorite. Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, they all look a little. I think the one top right is my favorite.
Right. Then they show you these, and if you look, you're like, wait a minute, why is it's hard to see United States here, but it's half the size of the United States there, right?
Yeah.
And if you actually do measurements, right? Okay, here's the United States. All of the other continents are on the other side of the globe in this image, okay? But we could actually measure on Earth and verify this is 934 miles. Well, NASA tells us the radius, the diameter, straight line through the Earth, is 7,917. So I should be able to fit this line segment, 8.5 of them, in between the diameter.
Right.
And it's all the way. This is how long it should be.
So that math doesn't work out. That does not work out.
Doesn't work out is a very generous statement, right?
Yeah.
Comparing the United States. Look at this. Right, these balls are the same size. You can't say this is lensing, optical this, optical that. It's all nonsense.
It's not the location of the. So the guy I deleted him too quick. I didn't bother to get any photos from him.
Yeah, they're liars, and it's not just me saying they're liars. There's so much proof. It's absolutely ridiculous.
So what I want to know is assuming this is all a lie, like what's the agenda? Why would they have changed the narrative on this particular item or this thing?
Why the flat Earth? Why are they saying the Earth is flat?
No, why did they
And why are they
change
saying it's
the
globe?
agenda
Sorry.
from yeah, you were saying in the 1920s, all of it was taught that it's flat. And I'd be curious if anyone is, I mean, there's a few 100-year-olds left on the planet. Maybe we could ask a few if we have
So
grandparents.
actually, I did in February of 2020. I interviewed
Yeah.
a woman named Ruth. I don't know if you saw that, and this was just prior to the CV bug, the CV bug,
Yeah.
and I was interviewing her not about flat Earth, about the World's Fairs because she had been to the World's Fairs in New York, and she was telling me all about it. And her memory was so good. I said to her, I said, "What did they teach you in elementary school about the Earth?" That's all I said. And she goes, "They taught me the Earth was flat." And then when I told her that the Earth is flat, and I explained about the deception, she broke down crying. It's an amazing video. It'll be linked in the email that you get right after this show.
Okay, I'll put it in the
Okay.
description too. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
please do.
beautiful. Wait, so did she share with you why she was crying? Like, did
Because
it
she was so happy that she goes, "I've always known it was true. I just believed, I trusted." And then it
yeah.
literally at 90, at 102 years old, she's 102, 102 years old, she found out that what she's known her whole life, though she thought her whole life is true. It's an amazing video. It went viral, and then
I
everybody,
get it. I love
I
that.
started talking. People, everyone was freaking out. They're like, "I'm going to go to a nursing home. I'm going to do it too. I'm going to." Everyone was like, "We have to go find these centenarians, people over 100,
Yeah.
and talk to them and find out what the truth is."
Oh,
Boom, CV hit. All nursing homes are closed. Nobody can go in. Okay,
yeah.
it happened literally right after that interview. It happened.
Yeah.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
So why the lie? Because this is a spiritual war that we're in, and they want us lost, out of control, right? They want us disconnected from the creation or the creator. They don't want us to know that we're at the center, that we're important, that we're powerful. They don't want us to know our potential. They don't want us to know that there's unlimited resources and unlimited space. They've confined us into this ball, which is a prison for our mind. Okay, and they're literally laughing at us. They're laughing at how dumb people are. And people say, "Well, what does it matter?" NASA gets $93 million, no, $63 million a day. Now, does NASA really get that money, or are they just taking it from us? They're just taking it from us. Okay, and what do they do with that money? What have we gotten from NASA? What have we gotten other than them up there going, "Well, we do science," and they play with their food and water droplets in the air with all electrical stuff all over the place. They give us nothing. Okay, they give us nothing but complete and total nonsense, and fake space. And so when someone says, why does it matter? Imagine if we took those resources and put them towards all the problems here on Earth in our realm. Okay. These are cartoons that we're spending billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars in resources and time and energy and focus, right? People want to go to Mars to build the dome, to live in the dome where there's no air, there's no water, or maybe there's water, they're saying, which is all nonsense. Why would you want to do that? Like, well, we have to get off this planet, because if this planet died, well, this planet, this isn't a planet. Why don't you just build it in Ethiopia in the desert? Why don't we build a gigantic multi-dome system? We could do that for a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a penny to their billions of dollars, right? It's all complete nonsense. It's mind control, and they don't want the population to get too big to challenge their authority. Who are they, right? They don't want us to challenge their authority, so they do what I call, or what they're calling, the Great Reset. Who are they? These are they. These are the people that run the world, the Bilderberg Group, the Council of Foreign Relations, the Club of Rome, the United Nations. These are the people that we know that run the world. There's probably secret societies above them, people that live on other lands that we don't have access to.
And but the concept of the round, like it being round, right? Like obviously they're doing it for mind control, and it all connects into all of these things. But is there a specific point why they chose to say it's round then?
Yeah,
Versus
well, I call it the heliosinister trick, and it's to this is a excuse me, this is a spiritual war, and they're trying to steal your soul, and the wordplay I use is the soul lure system. Okay, they want to separate your connection to source, to God, to the creator.
right.
They want to separate that, because if you're separated from that, I did an interview yesterday with a guy that's an atheist, and let me tell you something. I used to be an atheist, or at least I didn't believe in a creator. I believed in evolution. I believed in the whole thing, and when I discovered the Earth is flat, not the shape, but I understood that it was intelligently designed. I had to come to the I had to come to the knowing that there's a creator. Okay, so there's a creator, there's a source, whatever you want to call it. There's everyone has different names for it. I'm fine with all of them, but as long as you know that you're at the center of creation, um, that matters. So when I was talking to this atheist, he couldn't see anything. He's like, well, what? It doesn't really matter to me. It's like, it doesn't matter that you're in a prison. It doesn't matter that your rights are being taken away. It doesn't matter that you're not being allowed to flourish. It doesn't matter that they're robbing you every single day for your labor. It doesn't matter that they're hiding the true beauty of this world from you. All of this stuff. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
Right, but I don't know that people see the connection as to why this particular topic has been, why they've been deceiving us on this particular topic and how that relates. Like, I don't know that everybody makes the connection. And by the way, so yes, it's about separation from our soul. In fact, that's what the Jabberdoodle's all about. Like,
right.
I mean, it's literally designed to disconnect us from our God-given DNA and blah, 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 right? So, but I think it being round, I heard something about the ball, like somehow that's a Satanist concept or something.
It is a satanic concept. And if you look at all of the numbers, we're tilted at 23.4 degrees, which is 66.6 degrees off of 90. Okay. We're orbiting the sun at 66,600 miles an hour. Okay. At 100 miles, there's 6,666 feet of curvature. Okay. There's too many of these coincidences that happen. This is all a satanic construct. And so if this is our world, okay, this is where we live, this is the shoreline of Antarctica that goes all the way around, what's out here in the outer space, right? And what they did is, rather than letting us see what could be out there, they wrapped us onto a ball. And basically they said, that's it. Antarctica is a continent at the bottom, rather than the shoreline that surrounds us.
Interesting. So what I wonder is how they've deceived all of these pilots, and my brother's an air traffic controller, and I don't, how have they deceived all of them? I guess I guess they're only seeing a certain portion of it as they fly over, or
yeah. So an air traffic controller is just looking at a screen, and and is told that the Earth is so big that you can't see the curvature, and that's a reasonable thing to believe. And that's it. Airplanes fly straight and level over the Earth plane. And pilots, most of them don't see. The plane takes off, they get it up to cruising altitude, they turn the knob to 1970, they press it, and then they read a book or play cards until the control tells them to turn it to another number, right? And then they land the plane, and that's it. Okay? So they're not looking, they're not thinking. No one's bringing a globe in there to check, to like, oh, we're going from here to here, let me look on a globe. They don't use that. They use the AE map. They use this map right here.
yeah,
or one closer to that. So I'm trying to find a map as I'm speaking.
it's a cool animation. Somebody mentioned that in the chat, and I did see something about, like, there's different type, like they use projection to try to take the globe and make it flat, and that then it distorts the continents. And
well, and again, our map isn't perfect, but this is the map that they actually use for they actually use it for navigation. Okay, so we don't use a globe. I'm trying to. I have a great map that I wanted to show you, and of course, I don't know where the heck it went. So, why I'm looking for that? We could look at some flight routes, right? Now, if we're on a globe, right? If you're looking at a globe, the equator's right around the belt, the middle. Anything in the top is the north. Anything on the bottom is the south. So if you're going from any two destinations in the north, you would never cross the equator, right? You would just go boom, 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 right? And same thing in the south, but that's not the case. In the south, if you go from Santiago to Australia, you go all the way up across the equator, across and down. And if you want to go to Western Australia, it goes all the way across to China, Singapore, and down. And if you look at it on a flat Earth map, it's a straight line all the way up and across, right? If I want to go over here, Singapore, China, United States, all the way south. This is the route that they take when they're doing multiple stops, but it's a straight line on a flat Earth, right? And then there's many, many, many emergency landings that happen where the plane has to land in a weird place. Like this one landed in Seattle when it should have just been going over to New York. But when you look at it on a flat Earth map, bam, Seattle, right there on the line, right? And NASA is in charge of all of the flight routes, the radar, everything. So when these happen, they quickly land somewhere, and sometimes the pilots figure it out. We talked to many pilots, especially the Qantas pilots. They all know the Earth is flat, but they can't talk about it publicly, or they lose their jobs.
Who would lose their jobs?
A pilot that comes out and says the Earth is flat loses
Right.
their job, grounded immediately. We've interviewed one from KLM, and she was fired the next day, or grounded at least.
Yeah.
So here, there's an emergency, and they landed in Alaska. But if you look at it, Alaska is right along the line, right? Dallas to Beijing. Oh, no, sorry, not Alaska. Calgary, landed in Calgary.
So, I what's coming to mind to me is I'm thinking about just all the things that were considered conspiracy, and I remember the towers.
In New York.
Yeah, that when that actually happened, I was a dean of a college, and I haven't watched mainstream media in over 20 years. For some reason that morning, I turned the TV on, and I saw it. I saw it happen, and I remember looking at it, going, "Oh, that's not real." I mean, I saw it on mainstream media, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's not real." And I turned the TV off. And I went to work, and I was the only one there. I'm like, what's going on today? Why isn't anybody at the office? Like, why?
Yeah.
And anyway, so here we are. I don't know.
Were you in New York?
No, I live in Las Vegas.
Okay.
But I remember thinking, well, that's not really real. And then now over 20 years. When did that happen?
2001, 20 years ago.
20 years ago. Now I'm seeing some of the scientists, I guess they came out before, but saying, hey, the way the buildings actually fell isn't that wouldn't make sense, the way the planes hit it. And
well, do you know how many buildings fell in New York on 9/11 and how many planes supposedly crashed in New York on 9/11?
I don't.
Yeah, 2 planes hit 2 buildings,
right.
and seven buildings collapsed. 7 buildings, not just building 7. Yeah, 7 buildings collapsed. All right, and 5 of them were not hit by airplanes. Not everybody, but most people that are starting to look into this know about Building 7 fell at free fall speed of 5:20 in the afternoon. They announced that it was going to fall 20 minutes before it fell, or 23 minutes before it fell. That's impossible. It's never happened before. Their script came out. And the reason that happened, in my opinion, is the Flight 93 that crashed in Shanksville, supposedly. I don't believe any planes crashed anywhere on 9/11. was supposed to fake hit Building 7. Okay, but something went wrong with the simulation. They couldn't do it, so they fake crashed it in at a last minute. And their story there is ridiculous. But they still had to take down Building 7, so they had to pretend that it was burning, and maybe they started some fires, and then it fell into its own footprint at free fall speed. On top of that, Building 6, 10-story high, full city block. The entire inside of the building disappeared. The outside of the building remained. What happened there? The inside of the building disappeared. Did it collapse? Because there was no debris in there. It disappeared. You want to know what happened?
Yes.
I want to know what happened too. I don't know.
Oh.
I know that they're lying to us about everything.
Yeah.
So again,
that's kind of my point, is why I wanted you to come on, because it's like, I know there's so many things they've lied to us about. So what makes us believe this is
for anybody that wants to, and we have to be careful on YouTube. Anybody that wants to learn about the New York event, anyone who wants to learn about the Connecticut school event, the Sandy one, if anyone wants to know about the marathon in Massachusetts or any of the other big things, Las Vegas, you want to learn about the Florida, you want to learn about it, it's all at stoplookthink.com. This is stuff that used to be on YouTube, but YouTube has removed it all. Stoplookthink.com. Drop the hoax menu down and have a feast. I highly recommend anybody that's offended that I mentioned that the Connecticut Sandy event is not what they say it is. We'll just say that here on YouTube. If you're offended, it's because you're mind controlled with news media stories. Go there, drop down that menu, watch a half a dozen of the documentaries that are on there, and then you too will know that the Connecticut event is not what they tell us.
What is it again? Stop, look, think?
Stop, look, think. Stop, look, think. That's it. Yeah. Stoplookthink.com.
Awesome. Brilliant. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about the Buzz Aldrin. And I actually had the video. It's on YouTube still, where he was on Conan, I don't know, whoever the late night guy is. And he says, oh yeah, I saw you land on the moon. And Buzz Aldrin says, no, you didn't.
Right. Yeah. So he's like, I saw you. I don't have sound right now because there's a OBS is fighting with Macintosh. I don't want to talk about it. Well, I'll figure it out. If anybody knows how to fix the OBS Macintosh issue with sound, hit me up. So he's like, I saw you land on the moon. And he goes, no, you didn't. You saw an animation. That's like taking it to the next level. He could have said, you saw a video,
right
after. He said you saw an animation.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So what, what's up with Buzz anyway? He's still around, right?
He changed his name to Buzz and became a drunk. That's kind of interesting. Okay. And here he is on the on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. What's he doing there? And if you look, all of the astronauts that went to the moon have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Why do the astronauts, showing their little symbol, okay?
You all know what that symbol is, right?
That's
the
yeah, it's 666, whatever. Yeah. And someone will take the clip of me doing that and call me a Satanist. Trust me.
Oh, geez. But yeah, I also heard that he's a Freemason anyway, and
they're all Freemasons. All the astronauts, actronauts, I call them, are Freemasons. And then you have people like Joe Rogan, who was really, this was early on in his career, he was taking the moon landing apart, getting a huge audience, and his quote is, "There's no way you can convince me that we went to the moon and that they faked it," right? Then he went on a little vacation, and then he had Neil deGrasse Tyson on. He got this big TV contract. Joe Rogan explores everything, making tens of millions of dollars, and he changed his side. He goes, "There's no way we faked it." Okay, literally, they paid him off. That we have video of him saying he'd lie to his mother, right? For insights and stuff. And they
paid Joe Rogan off to shut up.
No, they paid him to stop debunking the moon landing and to claim that it's real. All right. The guy, he said, "There's no way we didn't go to the moon." And now they said there's no way it was a hoax. There's no way, right? It's the biggest reversal, the biggest flip flop, whatever you want to call it ever. Joe Rogan
I have to check
sold
that
out.
out. Is that on that
100%.
website too? Because I want to see that. That's
Just
interesting.
no, that actually isn't, but
Yeah, but that's definitely interesting. I mean, it's surprising how many people have just been able to be bought off.
Right. And Hollywood is just a big green screen studio. They're
Yeah.
literally making fun of us. There's, you know, they have these images of, you know, these models of a planet, and they film it, and then they just add their spaceships and everything else they want. It's complete and total nonsense. Right?
So, what year was it when we went to the moon? Wasn't that in the
The late 60s and 70s,
Okay.
all under Nixon, all of them.
Okay, so at that point, well, because Kennedy was the one that initially wanted to go to the moon, right?
So they say. So he
What's that?
said. So they say.
Oh, so they say. Okay, I thought he.
Yeah, I mean, no, he
Yeah.
did. He's the one like we're gonna go. Now the question is, did he know what the hell he was talking about? Was he convinced that we can go to the moon, or is he all part of it? At this point, I'll say he was all part of it. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. I wasn't there.
Who knows? I mean, he's
Right.
also the one that said, you know, that something about the secret societies, that we didn't want that, and
Right.
was anti the secret society. So I don't know.
Yeah, you know, and then when you look at stuff on the moon, like you look up, we see stars from Earth. This is space from Earth, and then this is space from space. They can't fake it, so they just give us a black sky, and they tell us, well, the iris on the camera, it can't detect the light, right? It's because space doesn't exist, right? Space doesn't exist.
Well, does that mean that we're the only planet? Are we in a simulation? What's really going on here, Dave? I want some answers.
So the Earth, the Earth is the basement of the universe. Okay, that's how I describe it. And everything that we see in the sky is here within the Earth system. Now, when you look up and go, oh yeah, there's Mars and Venus. All the planets were lined up the other night, by the way. And when you see them, you have pictures from Disney and NASA. There's no difference between the two of these rocky worlds, when in fact they're just lights, energetic lights here within our realm. We don't know how big they are. We don't know how far they are. We don't know anything about them other than there's lights in the sky.
So we don't know then if there's other planets, but then then I guess that brings up the question of aliens, right? Because
aliens. So good one. So aliens coming from other planets. So think about this. Aliens coming from other planets. Well, those planets have to be going around a star. The closest star is 25 trillion miles away. Okay. Now, if you get in, I'm not going to get into it here, but if you get into the math of that, the brightness and the size of the star would be impossible. You could not see a star 25 trillion miles away, and that's the closest star to us. That's the closest one to us. Okay. You know, our sun, they say, is an average size star. If the sun was literally a mile over your head, it would fill the whole sky, right? And if I moved it 93 million miles away, where they tell us it's the size of a coin, it went from the entire sky to the size of a coin held at arm's length. And if I made it 25 times farther, there's no way you can see it. Even if I made it twice as far, I don't think you can see it. But 25 times farther is like 3 light hours. The distance, the sun, if it was 25 times the distance, it would take 3 hours for the light to get here, according to their scientific nonsense. Okay? They tell us Polaris is 433 light years away. Okay? We can't see the sun at 3 light hours away, and they're telling us that we can see a star 433 light years away. These are unfathomable numbers. Okay? 25 trillion miles, you can't even fathom it. You're like, well, yes, I can. The debt's more than $25 trillion, right? You don't know what a trillion is. Okay? People don't know what a trillion is, other than the people that listen to me all the time, and I'm going to say it again. Okay? How long is 1 trillion seconds? Do you have any idea?
No,
I
have to do the math.
It's 31,000 years.
Okay.
1 trillion seconds is 31,000 years. So if you were traveling a mile per second, which no human has ever gone, it would, in a trillion seconds, you'd be 1 trillion miles away. Okay. And that would make you 1/25th of the way to the closest star. And it would have taken you 31,000 years to get 1/25th of the way to the closest star. Does
Yeah.
any of this make any sense to you?
Yeah.
So then somebody has to get in a spaceship, fly through space to catch an Earth that's corkscrewing through an infinite universe, get here and crash in Roswell. Okay? That's ridiculous. But I'm not going to take aliens away from you. I'm going to take the word.
I don't know. There's a lot of people that I mean, that's a whole nother conversation, right? That's a whole nother topic.
I'm not taking aliens away from you. I'm changing the name to extraterrestrials. Now, extraterrestrials, wait, that's the same thing. Well, no, look at the words. Alien is I think, the word alien might refer to spirits and demons and stuff in that realm, which I can't prove. Okay. But extraterrestrial, extra means what? More. Terrestrial, terra is land, more land. Okay. Extra terra. What if the world is set up like this? Here we are in this inner space.
Okay.
Then this ring here is Antarctica. Okay. And then out here is extra terra.
Okay.
More land. Now, let me ask you a question. If you lived out here and you came in here, what would I consider you?
An extraterrestrial.
From where?
From outside of the...
From outer space.
Yeah.
From the outer space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What makes more sense to you? That there's more land here across the Earth realm within our pressurized air system where we're all here. I bet there's people out here and they speak English. Okay. There's a book called The Iron Republic. It's available in my app. It's available on Amazon, and it's also available on if you Google the Iron Republic, the Morgile. It's on the Morgile channel. He read the whole book. If you don't want to read, if you want to listen to it while you're traveling, commuting, or whatever, listen to it. It's a 5-hour book, and it talks about some politician that bought a ship, sold everything, was tired of the nonsense here, and he went to Antarctica and he found an opening, and he ended up at the Iron Republic out here. And there was a whole advanced civilization here that had defected from the inner Earth in the 1600s because they didn't like the tyranny. Could you imagine tyranny here in our world? Okay, and they didn't like it, so they went out to more land. So why the globe? Why put us in a prison? Because what if some crap was going on and people are like, you know what, screw this, I'm leaving. Well, no one's going to say that because they don't know there's any place to go to. It's off limits. Okay, no one's allowed to go to Antarctica. Right? I mean, you can go. You can take a trip to Antarctica. They'll take you here to this little peninsula, which is gigantic. It's bigger than some countries, and they'll show you some penguins, and that's it. No one's allowed to explore the outer space. No one's allowed to explore out here. No one's allowed to go out here.
Like that guy that slipped through. How do they?
What guy to slip through?
The one in that book that you talked about. Iron.
Oh yeah, that was back in the late 1800s. And then so now they've made Antarctica off limits in the 1950s. They came up with the Antarctic Treaty, and they said that's everyone in 1959. They say the story is Admiral Byrd flew out there, found more land bigger than the United States, filled with resources. Right, we're all fighting wars over resources and all sorts of stuff with all these countries. But then all of a sudden, hey, we found a place filled with resources, gigantic. No human has ever set eyes upon it. And then they're like, oh, no. Treaty, no one can go there. No one can go there. Right? A dozen countries signed on, and now they've all signed on. All the countries of the world have signed this treaty that no one is allowed to go there. Now, you're going to get advertisements like, oh, Antarctic, you can go you can go there for $10, $20, $30, $40,000 for like 3 days. Right? There's like 15 companies that you can book with, but they're all owned by the same company. It's all just a big controlled nonsense, and no one's allowed to go there.
So wait, so if they get to Antarctica, then you could slip out? Is that the...
Well, if you get there, well, first, Antarctica is brutally cold and dark. There's no way to navigate. There's no food. There's no nothing. So even if they let some people go there, you probably end up killing yourself, lost in the dark, freezing to death. Okay. But maybe there's other areas of Antarctica that are warmer, that are even tropical. I don't know. I don't know the setup because we're not allowed to go there. Anything beyond the shoreline of Antarctica is speculation. But what's there? What's there? And people like, well, show me the ice wall. Well, there's millions of pictures of the ice wall. There's video of the ice wall. It's the shoreline. Antarctica, they tell us, is the highest land on Earth. It's the container of our world pond. All of the oceans of the world make a big pond, and without an edge, you don't have a pond. Well, this is the edge of our world. This is Antarctica. And what's out there? Who knows how far it goes? Who knows how far it goes?
I think we should go take a trip. How do we survive
Can't.
this? I want to go check this out.
So here's the thing. You can in my app. Fix this. In my app.
These guys. So okay, go with your app, and then I have another.
Yeah. So in my app, if you hit the question mark and you go to Antarctica in the 24-hour sun, okay, click that puppy right there, and up comes a playlist. And the third, where is it? Somewhere in here. Sorry, Antarctica is closed. That's done by one of our researchers who's a lawyer. It's about a 35-minute video, and it will show you what it takes to go to Antarctica. It costs you hundreds of thousands of dollars in permits. You'll get denied. They keep your money, and you won't be able to go. But he shows you and did all the work for you. Amazing amount of research, but all sorts of information about Antarctica and what's possibly out there. It's highly, very, very interesting.
What's the name of your app again? Because I went to go download it the other day. I need to go download it.
You do need to go download it.
I know.
It's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app by Blue Water Bay. Right, you can just scan this right here if you have a camera on your phone. Just make sure on Android it's by Blue Water Bay because there's already a knockoff by the Flat Earth Society type people, and that's not my app. And check it out because it will save you tons and tons of time. Right, and if you don't want to buy the app is $3. There is a subscription if you want to use the friend finder to send messages, but you don't have to subscribe. So $3 once and you have it forever. But on the friend finder, which I just clicked, it shows you all of the other flat earthers that are near you. These are the flat earthers that are near me. Okay. I could tap on one and I could send that person a message, or I could tap on, let's say my radius, I have it set to 50 kilometers. There's 244 people. I could send them all a message. Hey, I'm having a meetup at Joe's Bar and Grill on 123 Main Street on Saturday. Yes. And bam, now you've just connected yourself with awesome people. Nice work.
I'm totally in. I got you. So, yeah. But it brings up another point. Can you see my lighting in the background in my screen?
I can.
You can? Yeah. You see those lights there?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Buzz Aldrin thing, right? Do you have the picture where his mask, you can see the reflection that it's like something's in the background? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, on the reflection in his visor where you can see a cameraman.
Yes.
Right. I just realized I wasn't showing you on these are all the dots in my area.
Yeah.
So, and I could message those people, and I could send a group message to everybody within a specific radius. I could do all sorts of stuff, and it's a great way for people to meet up.
I love it. I think that's great. I would imagine you probably have a lot of patriots in there.
There's a lot of people waking up. More and more people are getting it all the time. I'm trying to find that I don't know if I have that reflection. That's a good image to add. I'll add that to the gallery.
One of his face mask. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few of those. Oh, you know what? I do have another one which I can show you. Give me a second. Go ahead. You first.
I don't know. I was just gonna say, yeah, download the app, guys, because I definitely want to connect there. I think that'll be fun. That's great because it looks like you have a lot of content. So it'll make it a lot easier to go do research. It's all right there. And
it's so much easier because if you Google flat Earth, you end up with nonsense. You end up with all propaganda.
And what I found is that it looks like a lot of it's being censored. So I don't even know if I'm gonna get the boot on this video or what's gonna happen.
No, you don't get a boot on this. That that some of the other stuff we're talking about, that was close, but we're good.
Okay.
But they don't promote this stuff, and you will have a wiki thing underneath this video that says the flat Earth is an ancient, archaic belief
It's an
by a bunch of
archaic
morons.
belief. That's what.
Right. Right.
Well, so then that right there should get you questioning, because I mean, we saw those same type of messages under very well-renowned Nobel Prize winning doctors that were, yeah.
So this is, let me pull this up. This is a spacewalk, and they're showing the Earth. There's so many things wrong with this, but if you watch carefully on there's a little mirror, and you can see the green screen that's behind him.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that one before. That's pretty good.
It caught the green screen. There it is. All right. So they have these little glitches all the time. Sometimes they remove them. Sometimes they don't care. They just leave them. They leave them up. And then there's a facility called the McCloud facility, I think it's called, where NASA goes. It's a ginormous warehouse where they have all these green screens. They can fake anything. This is being done for a Spider-Man movie, but in a second they'll show you some of the NASA stuff they can do. And when you start to understand how easy they can fake this stuff, this is all just not real. All of it's not real. So when they show us stuff like, when the space shuttle's taking off and landing, they're not showing us real stuff. But when people do see a space shuttle take off, they're 10, 15 miles away, and they're watching something take off. Don't get me wrong there. It's just not a big ship with people on it.
So I don't know if I would imagine you know something about it, but remember when they had a teacher and they had like regular people that were supposed to go into a moon landing? Didn't that rocket supposedly implode and they all died?
So that was the space shuttle launch, and we're supposed to believe that all of these people died. That was one where they wheeled TVs into all the schoolrooms, and so all the kids in America and other places in the world saw it live. Okay, and it blew up, and this was in the 1980s, I think it was.
Yeah,
and that was interesting. Unfortunately, we found 6 of the 7 astronauts on there have identical twins.
I was gonna say, I think I saw something about that.
Yeah.
That they've been identified somewhere else. So I mean,
they have identical twins, and none of their twins ever showed up at any of their funerals. Okay. All right. So there's something wrong there. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, and again, the space shuttle. So this is the SR-71, right? Pretty aerodynamic, right? Is the space shuttle aerodynamic? Not as aerodynamic as this, right? You even know that. You don't even need to know about it. You know that this is not aerodynamic compared to this. This is less aerodynamic than a 747, if you ask me.
Right.
It's got all these weird things on it.
Right.
This thing can't go faster than Mach 3.2, or it rips apart from the friction. But this thing can go Mach 33. Does that make any sense to you?
No.
It makes no sense. Thank you for people like, well, I don't have an engineering degree. You have common sense, and they've convinced you to believe nonsense. Okay, right? So this thing can go 10 times faster than this thing. Give me a break.
Yeah, I wonder about, so kind of back to that extraterrestrial. So I hadn't heard that before, that it was outlying outside of the Arctic wall, or whatever you call that wall. Those Tic Tac things, is that what you were going to show me with the submarine, or is that something else?
No, I was just while you were talking, this is just showing, atmosphere in a vacuum versus a submarine, which is, you know, thick metal walls, and none of it makes any sense once you understand the nonsense that they're telling us. I mean, the space shuttle is a tin can, right? A couple of years ago, they talked about there was a hole in the space shuttle in the space station. You remember that? It got a little mini meteorite hole, and they showed us. They even showed us on the, you know, on the news. It got a little hole, and they show us this hole, which happened to look like the exact same hole on a record album from a band, you know, years prior. It's the same hole, but they told us that, and then they fixed it with like gum and duct tape. Right? They're looking for this hole, right? And then they patched it with duct tape temporarily. Okay. There's I just saw a story recently where a flight, a jet was flying at like 40, a private jet was flying at like 45,000 feet, and they lost a little bit of air pressure, and everyone in the jet died. Everyone suffocated and died instantly. And the plane was just flying on autopilot. You know, military interceptors came, and they were flying with it, and they could see that the windshield was iced over, and then it just kept on going until it ran out of fuel, and then it crashed. And that was just from a slight depressurization. Well, it's space. The vacuum is way worse than 45,000 feet, and we got a hole. And then they're showing us this. Here's the thing: people say, "What about whistleblowers?" Here's a fucking whistle. Excuse my language. I'm sorry. Here's a whistleblower. Right? There's a hole. They use the same image from a record album from years before, and nobody gives a crap. Okay, not nobody. The people that are awake give a crap. The sleeping people, like, I can't see that.
Wait
I
a
can't
minute.
see that.
That makes me think of the Astro World and the Bart Simpson. Like, what the heck? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you explain that?
Wait, which thing?
So, you know, the Astro World, what happened there? And I mean, that was a huge satanic ritual, and or at least that's the theory, right?
Yes.
And I guess there was a Bart Simpson, or the Simpsons actually had like several years earlier a cartoon that predicted it, basically.
Yeah, some of that. Actually, I looked into some of that, and some of the stuff that was in there is definitely pointing towards that. But then they added some fake stuff into that to kind of taint the story. So I haven't dug into it that deep. But more recently, South Park had a COVID. I believe they aired it on Thanksgiving. Had a COVID one, and they showed people going crazy in the streets, and then a red car ran over a bunch of people on the street, and literally that 3 days later, that red car ran over all these people in the street. I forget what they happened, like right at the same time, right? The red car came out first on the cartoon. Amazing. You know, so why do they do that? You know, people are like, well, why would they do that? Why would they have the kids from Sandy Hook singing at their own funeral? All right. Well, do you know about that? At the Super Bowl?
No,
At
I
the
don't know
Super
about
Bowl with
that.
Jennifer Hudson, there was 26 kids from Sandy that were honoring, they were older kids, honoring all the kids. And if you look at them, all 26 match up with all of the victims, just older versions of them. Why would they do that? Why would they stick it in our faces like that? And it's literally a spiritual war where everyone's taking a moment of silence, listening to these kids sing in memory of something that was traumatical. Is that a word? Traumatizing to the whole world, and you're staring in the faces of the kids that you think have moved on. And you know, people are like, I can't believe that. And I say, find me one of those kids. There's those 26 kids that sang at the Super Bowl are all missing. None of them can be found. None of them have been seen, heard from. No one knows their names. FOIA requests, you can't get them. I know we just took a huge pivot off of flat Earth, but the deception in this world is massive. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, stoplookthink.com, hoaxes, Sandy, and find the video with the thumbnail of the kids singing at the Super Bowl. You'll see.
Yeah. When we're done, like if you don't mind, send the links to all this stuff, and I'll post that too. All of the app and everything. So, but I don't know. I know in the very beginning we were talking about Schumann resonance. I don't know that we talked about it on during the interview, because the question I have about that is if the two interrelate, where this truth is, it's just all being exposed, and it can't be, because I think that's part of, from my understanding, the satanic, they have to put it out there first, whatever they're going to do. Like that's part of the ritual or something.
I'm with you 100%. I believe that they always have to tell us. They're not allowed to set a bear trap in the woods and have it completely hidden. They got to put a sign saying, hey, there's a bear trap under the leaves. Be careful. Right.
Yeah.
So they always tell us what they're doing because they can't break our free will. And people are like, well, I can't believe that. Doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. They know the rules of this world. We are here. We're born free, and nobody can take that from us unless we willingly give it away. Unless when somebody says, you stay home, you close your business, and you go, yes, sir. Well, that's your own fault. You don't have to do that. Okay. All of this stuff that's going on in the world is the only reason it's working is because people are complying. If everyone literally stopped complying right now, it's over. It's completely over. And if everybody woke up to the flat earth, then they'd all of a sudden see through the veil. They'd see through this apocalypse. Okay. That's happening. And it would be over the same day. It would be over instantly. What if nobody listened to the government? What could they do? They could do nothing. What if all of the police and the military, they go, this is bullshit. I'm out. Well, it's over. They've lost everything. The way they control us is they have us fighting with each other, us controlling each other, us just agreeing to all of their nonsense.
Yeah. Well, so I think you still have these gatekeepers that are the little shop workers. Like, I mean, I walked into a store the other day, and I walked all around. I used the restroom. The whole dining room is filled with people with no mask. I go up to the cashier, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you can't pay for that without a mask."
Then I would walk out without paying.
Well, I did. I walked out, but I was just like.
It's amazing. We have a big issue here where the only kids, all the kids in our schools are masked up, and it's horrible. People don't understand what it's doing. It's literally taking away their humanity. And but then the people that are fighting to keep these policies in place, they're out at the local bars partying. The first selectman's out at the bar, crowded, spitting on each other, no mask, no nothing. So my suggestion is, why don't we just put restaurant tables in the school? That way the kids won't have to wear masks.
There you go. Yeah. So I somebody had this great, it's like, saying, well, no peeing in the pool, but only in that area.
Right.
Like, it's okay to pee over there, but anyway.
Yeah. The propaganda is unbelievable. They're hiding. They're censoring everything. Okay. They're censoring, you can't say anything. But Big Bird can say something, this guy, he's the top virologist. He gets censored, but they, but Big Bird and Sanjay Gupta and, you can't say anything online. Isn't he the doctor that invented, or at least he looks like him, the one that invented the PRP test or whatever the test is? No, that's a different guy. That's
okay. He looks a lot alike.
Carrie, whatever his name is.
Okay, but that that guy came out saying, yeah, but at anything over 25 cycles of whatever it is per minute or whatever makes the whole test invalid, and yet they're still testing people. Like,
right. You have to be careful what you're saying here. Just be careful. Careful what you're saying.
Okay. Yeah. I know. So anyway, so the Schumann resonance, I have to share something really quick because it goes back to part of the conversation we were having about the Twin Towers. I don't know if this is can you see that?
Yep.
Does anyone else think this is weird?
Oh no, that is, yeah.
Is that real? Did he really have this painting?
I I can't confirm it, but
You've seen
this? I have seen it. I haven't confirmed it, but I don't doubt it. I mean, just look at Podesta's place. He's got crazy stuff with kids being tortured and stuff, and it's artwork. It's all right there in front of our face. Yeah,
well, crazy. So anyway, now, how do I get back to my,
You have to go stop screen sharing.
I don't, oh, there it's at the bottom. Okay. So I do think that that just a little bit about the human resonance. I see the measurements on that, but I'm wondering, well, is that accurate either? Is that real information? But basically the concept is that the vibration on the planet is increasing, and because of that, then we as humans, our frequency is also rising.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is known that we are frequency beings. The Earth has a frequency. I don't believe that humans can live off of the Earth. Okay, I don't believe that we all have to be within this this field. And again, if you look in the app, you hit the Tataria button, the mud floods button, you're going to see all sorts of stuff that that will blow your mind. All of these old buildings, these were frequency generators harvesting energy out of the air. They were healing centers. And then after the reset, we took them over and turned them into churches and mosques and all sorts of stuff. And we don't understand what these places really were and how this world really worked.
Yeah. So back up, the reset, like, so what do you, I think I missed something. So I've heard that many times, and that I even heard from, oh, I forget who it was, but he was Max Egan. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think he was.
Max is great.
Yeah, he was talking about that this has happened like at least 11 times or more, that they keep resetting us, or I'm not exactly sure what that means, if we're in some, again, back to some sort of simulation, or what that's about. So
yeah, so I mean, it seems to be a reset every 100 years. In what was it, 1920, there was the Spanish flu. Everybody was wearing face diapers and getting the jabba jabba do, and it didn't fare well. There was a mass population die off there, and then in 1820 there was cholera. 1720, the plague. Right, every 100 years, the same thing happens again and again.
It is actually exactly 100. I didn't realize that.
And then if you look at population growth charts and even use the most conservative numbers, if our history is what they tell us, there should be trillions, if not quadrillions, of people. Okay, but there's not. None of this makes any sense. So our entire history is a lie. And once you start seeing it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah. Well, I think one last thing on this, and then we probably need to wrap it up. The question kind of then becomes, looking at this history, like, well, then who's the they, and how have they been around for so long to continue to do this to us, the
I'll give you my
here.
Well, we talked about who they are. These are the royal families.
Yeah.
And one thing that they know is about keeping their bloodlines pure, right? So, I'm not telling you to go out and, marry within your family, but I believe that there's a big deception there. There's a huge deception about bloodlines. And I believe that these people that are running the earth, they know about genetic memory, and they know that if they keep their bloodlines pure, I believe they come back and they know their past. They're reborn, and they don't have amnesia like we do. They know all of their history because they're.
Yeah, so that's very interesting, because there's no doubt, like, this, I think most people just woke up with this most recent jabberdoodle, but the thing is, they've been giving kids, the moment they're born, Dr. Bernie was telling me that they actually put droplets in our eyes that has some kind of metal, silver. And so why would we be doing that if we're...
One thing they do is they put that in baby's eyes. One thing it does is the baby can't see his mother anymore. That most important bonding moment, looking into his mother's face, baby can't see. And then the medicine or the poison that they're putting in their eyes has all sorts of other effects. And then usually before they hand the baby to the mother, they inject it with several vaccines. Okay.
Well, that was what I was going to say. So if we're injected the moment we're born, you know, then no wonder that we've fallen asleep to the greater essence of who we really are.
I totally agree. And I believe that the Jabba Jabba Do program, including all of them from birth out, is to disconnect us from creation. It is to stop us from connecting to that source energy. Could you imagine? Like, I know many kids, not many, I know a bunch of kids that are basically, they have zero, they were born at home, they have zero, jabs. And these are the smartest, brightest, healthiest kids I've ever seen. Their eyes, you look into their eyes, and they say the eyes are a window to the soul. It's it's unbelievable, right? But a big pharma has never done a study comparing VEED to unVEED, and they're just using, when you mention VEED to somebody, they're like, "Oh, you're an anti-V," and literally they go into their programming, and it's absolutely ridiculous, right? So if this lost history, this reset thing is new to you, in the app, go to Mud Floods, or not even in the app, go to the John Levy channel, JONLEVI. But he's linked, lots of his videos are in there. And when you're going through those playlists, if you hit a video that, wow, this is really good, subscribe to that channel, and then you'll have a lifetime. You'll have tons of other information.
Subscribe.
Yeah.
Like, share.
Yep.
Oh my God, I could keep talking to you forever. Like,
right. I mean,
I'd love to hang out again.
Yeah, I do have to go, but just, when you start looking, horse and buggy time, and we're building buildings like this, and this isn't even, these aren't even the spectacular ones. This is all, these are people that are inheriting this world after the people that build it left.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
And not like, I was in Peru doing the Incan Trail, and I was looking at these things that the steps that they built and everything, and living out in nature for a week. And I was like, there is absolutely no way that there wasn't somebody here before us, or aliens, right?
Oh my God. When you just look at the architecture, of the past, these are energy harvesters. Okay. You don't build this in a time where, you're struggling with horse and buggy and whatnot. All of our history is a lie, but I do have to go.
Okay.
Any final thoughts?
Just that I definitely would love for you to come back. You're awesome. I love it. I hope that everyone got some value out of today. And thank you for sharing your app. I've already downloaded it.
Yeah, check it out. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app by Blue Water Bay. And it'll teach you so much. Just go read the reviews in the App Store, in the Google Play Store, and I believe it's going to be on Amazon starting tomorrow or whatever. This QR code or the link that you'll put in the description will take you right there. And check it out. And then most importantly, use the friend finder to contact people near you. Check out the people near you, because every blue dot on there is an awake, aware, awesome person. Talk about a dating app. This is the one. Because every blue dot, male or female, is going to be your best friend. It's going to be your best friend.
And you're going to, and I would assume that they haven't been jabberdoodled.
I would say 99. Well, yeah, there might be a few of them in there.
Pure bloods here.
And listen, there might be a few of them in there that were forced for whatever reason, life circumstance or whatever. But these people are awake and aware. I would say it would be pretty difficult to find anybody that at least did it willingly. Or I would say no one did it willingly.
Yeah.
So,
well, or just totally unconsciously. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I love you. You're awesome. Thank you, everybody, who joined us. I love you guys too. I'll see if I can coordinate another time for you to come back.
All right, we can talk about that. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye.